Beam me aboard.
Energize.
Energizing.
Kirk to transporter room. Report.
You're listening to Transporter Room 3 with your hosts, Phil Perello and Scott Calora.
Oh, S is about to get R, listeners. Welcome back to Transporter Room 3, Star Trek Into Darkness, announcement trailer edition.
What? There's a new trailer?
Yeah, you didn't hear?
No.
Oh, was your mind too busy blown by the awesomeness? That made no sense. I'm sorry. I tried to make that work, and I didn't.
Also, you used the S is about to get real terminology twice. They used that last week also.
Well, thanks, man. Kick a man when he's down. Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday. It is Phil's birthday today.
December 7th.
Now, how many?
80. The other day that lives in infamy.
Wait, what? What year were you born?
1980.
Jesus Christ.
See, you think you're old.
1980.
I feel old being born in 80.
Well, I'm not going to say when I was born. But how many Star Trek characters' birthdays have we seen? I can remember Worf.
Worf, Kirk, Riker, right?
When was Riker's?
Oh, what? I don't know.
Oh, was Riker's Future Imperfect?
Future Imperfect. That was his birthday. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, right, yeah. Okay.
Can't remember who else.
Those are the only ones that come to mind right now.
But Kirk's was
I feel like
that.
Chief O'Brien, maybe?
Oh, he probably had a birthday or two in there somewhere. Oh, no, he did have a birthday, didn't he?
I think so. Was it the one where he...
Keiko was possessed by the Pa Wraith?
Is that what it is?
I think it is. The assignment?
Poor Keiko, man.
That's a good episode.
She gets her fetus beamed out of her at one point.
Yeah, they beamed into Kira, which you know that kid's going to be a pain in the ass.
Oh, yeah. Her kid turns into her other kid turns into a cave woman. a hot cave woman.
You know, I just watched that episode too recently. I'd never seen it before, and the only part of it that's good is the last 5 minutes. Because for like 40 minutes, for 4 acts, it's 23rd century Nell. And then for the last 5 minutes, the time travel shit actually is kind of cool.
See, I wish they had ended it though with her trapped. They just
with her younger self.
Time. Yeah. Oh no, just that was her fate. They had to send her back, and that was it.
Yeah. Star Trek couldn't do that. Too dark.
Keiko never. I never bought Keiko's relationship with O'Brien. Never once did I believe that they were married or in love. Did you?
I kind of did.
I felt like she skeeved him.
I thought that relationship better than I did Worf and Troy.
Yeah, but Worf and Troy was like 2 episodes. Like the Keiko thing, they dragged that out for like 10 years.
That's true. 2 kids.
Right, well, 10 years, 2 kids, a gay partnership with O'Brien and Bashir, and
we should devote a podcast to the many romances of Enterprise D. But today we're gonna talk the shit out of that Star Trek Into Darkness 1 minute internet only announcement teaser. It's a very long label for that thing.
Yeah, announcement. I don't think they even called it a teaser. I think they called it an announcement video.
Announcement video, yeah. Let's just call it what it is. It's nerd Viagra.
First, let's do a quick reader email.
Rock it out.
Listener email from Daniel Noah, our I think I pronounced that correctly, our loyal listener. He just wanted to comment on our Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan version of Star Trek II, our discussion from a couple of episodes back, to make a few points that we kind of missed. He mentioned that in terms of the world building of Star Trek, it's the first time we see a non-Constitution class ship, which I guess is true. Right? The Reliant. It's the first time we get a real look at Earth in the Star Trek universe, not counting the weird motion picture stuff, which is true. Then that stuff in the motion picture is pretty weird and probably better left forgotten. Many of the supporting extras on the bridge get personality. That will never happen again, except for the brief Phil Morris, Jackie Chiles cameo in Star Trek 3. What's he talking about? What's that?
I don't know.
That's not the captain of the Excelsior, is it?
Oh, it is. It is.
Okay. All right. So, and that's barely even personality. That's more caricature, that guy.
Right.
Love the sexual...
It's a cane.
Yeah.
It's a half cane, too.
Love the sexual tension between Kirk and Savick. It always felt kind of weird and almost a little pervy, thinking of the elevator scene. And yeah, he's right. It is pervy.
A little pervy.
Savick is like, she's basically in like graduate school, the equivalent, Starfleet equivalent of like graduate school, and Kirk is an old man on the verge of retirement. I love that dialogue, though.
I love that too.
Humor, it is a difficult concept. Also loved that they even expanded the world, giving us some Starfleet. Wait, hold on. Oh, that they avoided.
Translator has been confiscated.
Sorry. I think it's my ability to read and my eyesight, because I wasn't born in 1980. They avoided giving us some Starfleet bureaucrat admiral that every other film gives us. That's true.
That's true.
All the Kirk films do have that, don't they?
Yeah, all the Kirk films don't have the interchangeable douchebag admiral.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the Next Gen movies, though. Well, they only really have one douchebag admiral, right?
Admiral Janeway.
Admiral Janeway and the guy from
Admiral Anthony Zerbe from the Omega
Insurrection.
Man. Yeah. Also, the idea of the Genesis device is great. It's a big sci-fi idea that could easily get its own movie, but has been avoided by subsequent Treks. I guess to keep things simple, but I never found it confusing or complex, and it was successfully able to straddle two films, which is true as well.
Very true.
And then just lastly, I'm with Phil. I don't think Star Trek 3 diminishes Star Trek 2, because 2 works so well as a standalone. I at least don't feel Spock's death less because he comes back, as his comeback is earned by an entire film's length worth quest. Modern films try this as an aside, like Pirates of the Caribbean 3, and they suck. So,
right.
So some interesting points, and there's so much to talk about Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. We just kind of riffed on it, and we'll probably do it again sometime. But so thanks, Daniel, for writing in.
Thank you, sir.
A bunch of people commented on that podcast, and but we're going to talk about a different Star Trek II today, which is no longer called Star Trek II. It's called Star Trek Into Darkness.
So,
what do you think, Phil? First of all, did you like the trailer?
I liked it a lot. I nerded out very, very, very much at midnight when it first ran. It was ridiculous, and I was very happy. And then later, I was talking about it last night, and I was like, it seems to me that it's trying very consciously to say, "Ooh, we're dark," to the point where I don't know when this happens, but the crew looks like for a good chunk of the movie they're wearing the "Dare leaked" line from Zoolander. And I just don't know why we're wearing, I don't know why they let, Isaac Mizrahi design the 20th century. It looks like gay camouflage.
Does he get to bounce Zoe Saldana's boob up and down? Like
I don't know about that.
He did that to Scarlett Johansson.
It's right, he did.
Well, it's also it's very much about we're a Star Trek movie, but we're not a Star Trek movie.
Right.
I showed it to my wife this morning. Debuted, I guess, yesterday at midnight. I showed it. She finally consented to watch it today, and her takeaway from it was, it doesn't even. You don't even really think it's a Star Trek movie if you didn't know any better.
Right.
They're not in outer space. She's like, were they in like a city or something? And so you barely see any spaceships, right? You see the Enterprise.
And you see
kind of underwater or whatever.
It never goes into space.
You never see a starfield or anything. You you see the Starfleet uniform, the traditional colored tunics a little bit, but like you say, a lot of the times they're dressed differently. My wife also was like, oh, and Benedict Cumberbatch, like he's playing a human. Like what? Like don't they usually fight aliens? And so I think there's a real effort there to not be perceived as just another Star Trek movie. I think that's part of it, right? Of course, so what they're doing is they're trying to be perceived as just another Dark Knight movie.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
I mean, it was awesome. I got a kick out of it. It's fun. It's cool. I love seeing Star Trek done with the big budget that's clearly at work here. The shot of the ship crashing or coming out of the water, or
it's
both,
amazing.
Or whatever is great. I like seeing them in different settings for a change. It's like when the poster debuted. I don't think we've talked about that yet on the podcast. You and I were saying like, oh, they don't have the floating three heads that seem to dominate the old Kirk
right.
posters for so many years, and even some of the Next Generation stuff. Like, it's cool, but I don't think this tells us anything about whether the movie's going to be any good or not.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a unique Star Trek movie experience. And it looks like, as sci-fi goes, it looks like we've just seen like the tip of the iceberg, Like I have a feeling that this movie will all be a part of a bigger whole, obviously.
Right.
And I think it'll definitely stand out. I mean, it already stands out. Like, oh, this is, if you thought the first movie wasn't your father's Star Trek, this isn't either.
Right.
This isn't even the Star Trek you thought you had in 2009.
Right.
And
yeah.
I'm wondering, like the very gray, very black feel. Like I just hope, as someone pointed out on another website earlier this week, I just hope that the fun and hope of Star Trek, especially the first film, the 2009 movie, is back.
Yeah.
I hope that's tonally in there.
Well, a trailer can sell anything that it wants to sell. A 1 minute thing, right?
Right.
I mean, remember the Gray? Remember the trailer for the Gray, the Liam Neeson movie?
Right. It sold the wolf punch that never happened.
Yeah. Yeah, the wolf punch that you basically, and I love the Gray. I think that's fucking
Gray
awesome.
Too.
That's a great movie. But you watch, if you're a dude going in for the wolf fight, man, he has Wolverine claws.
I was denying my wolf fight.
Yeah, I mean, you waited an hour and 53 minutes, and it's the very last, spoilers, it's the very last scene in the movie, and then they don't even show it. It cuts to black. So you can do but the trailer sold it as an action movie fighting wolves or whatever. So who knows what this really is? Chris Pine was quoted recently, I don't know, last month or something, as saying that it is a fun movie, and it is still got a lot of humor and lightness to it. So who knows what we're really going to get? Of course, Pine's not in the editing room, and a lot can change between
then and now.
Yeah, So we'll see. But in terms of wow factor, I mean, I think the trailer certainly had it. I think it's the old story with Star Trek. They know that they have us, and people listening are definitely going to go see this movie opening weekend. But that trailer is meant to get people like my wife or my father-in-law or my orthodontist, who to go see it, because yes, I do wear braces.
That's hot, Scott. That's what I dig about you.
Now, what can we discern from what we've seen? Do we know anything more about the movie? We know that Alice Eve's character has the same haircut as Elizabeth Denner.
That's true.
From Where No Man Has Gone Before.
Very spot on, which leads to the rumor that it is Gary Mitchell.
Right. Of course, like, these guys are all, like, years younger than they were in Where No Man Has Gone Before. So that means Elizabeth Denner is like my Aunt Doris, who's had the same hairstyle for, like, 38 years.
I could see that.
Anyway.
Or maybe it's just Alice Eve is hot, and they give her a hot hairstyle. Here's the thing, though, with Gary Mitchell. I think it could be brilliant if they've taken Gary Mitchell and they've given him a Khan-like backstory arc. Like, what if instead of the fucking Great Barrier light show that turned him into the ESP god? What if it was a program?
Right.
That Starfleet was doing.
Right.
And
yeah,
maybe,
weapons program or something.
Yeah, and maybe, Mitchell was serving aboard Enterprise with Kirk, and in a mission that opens the film, the funeral that we glimpse that's happening, the ceremony that we glimpse that's happening in the announcement video, that's Mitchell's.
Right.
And
right.
Yeah. And he's coming to avenge his own fucking funeral.
I mean, that sounds definitely like a possibility, and potentially cool. I guess the thing is too, like, I mean, we're totally in speculationville here, but like, Roberto Orci or Alex Kurtzman, I can't remember which one of the writers, he has said that the comic book that they do
is canon.
And Mitchell already showed up and died, right?
What?
Mitchell already showed up in the comic and died.
That's correct.
So I suppose if they are really if the comic is canon, which, you know what, that could probably go out the window regardless of him saying that, but if it is canon, there's no reason why they can't even flash back to the events of the comic when he died, perhaps.
That's true.
I don't know. I haven't read the comic. I never will.
I haven't read it either.
I think it's more of a rehash of the original episode, though, right? From what I've heard.
And I think, though, I mean, and the last shot of that Japanese, the version of the Japanese announcement teaser is like 15 seconds longer, and there's a very Wrath of Kanian last shot.
Right.
With clearly it's Spock's hand touching someone else's in a black or gray tunic.
Right.
And that someone else is kind of sickly, and the discussion on the internet is that's Kirk. Yeah.
Yeah. Or, I mean, the assumption is it's Kirk. But
the assumption is it's Kirk, right?
Abrams, he's Mr. Secretive and all the rest of it, right? So it could be intentionally misleading, right? It could be Cumberbatch dying.
Could be Cumberbatch dying.
Only to be reborn, right? Now you.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was just gonna say you have an interesting theory about another Star Trek character of yesteryear who Cumberbatch could possibly be. Not Khan.
Right. I have a feeling.
We'll get to Khan, but
I don't know why this popped in. Maybe it's in my old age. I'm getting senile. That was a Wrath of Khan reference-y kind of bit too.
And it is your birthday.
I think because they have said, right? They have said that it is someone from the canon. That it is. I think Orsi said it on Trek Movie, a site that for some reason will not let us promote our podcast on there. No, it's cool. I don't like to help the internet out either.
Oh shit!
That's right. Double guns, baby. I'm 32.
You got nothing to lose at this point, man.
But Orsi said, it is someone from canon, and I got a feeling it's Ben Finney.
Ben Finney, who the episode was Court Martial, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
His first season, and
it's a great episode.
Kirk has to jettison. They hit an ion storm. Am I remembering this correctly?
Hit an ion storm. And he has to jettison the pod.
Right. First and only time they've ever had to jettison the pod.
Right. The first and only time.
And it turns out there's like a guy down there working in the bowels of the ship who his name is Ben Finney. He's an old colleague of Kirk's, who he gets jettisoned along with it. Is that what it comes down to? Or so they think, right?
Right.
In the end, and then Kirk goes on trial for this. Ben Finney has a daughter who shows up, who blames Kirk for the death of her father, who's Kirk's old friend from the academy days. And in the end, it turns out Finney's actually still alive, and he resents Kirk's rise to prominence in Starfleet, where this guy's career didn't really go in the direction he would have liked, and he's trying to frame Kirk and ruin Kirk's career. Is that the gist of it?
That is the gist of it. Yep.
Yeah. So you're thinking that this could be Ben Finney,
right? I think we learned that Finney was an instructor at the academy who was there for way too fucking long, waiting to be a commissioned officer. When he finally did get commissioned, he befriended a very young Ensign Kirk.
Finney's career is kind of, I think, matches my career, actually. I think...
You went crazy and tried to blow up a starship during a
well,
court
no,
martial?
that's the thing. It matches my career without any of the drama or cool factor. I've just got the boring, waited too long to become commissioned in his line of work.
I like this. I like this. I want your series of pocketbooks.
So now the thing is, Finney in the show, in the old series with Shatner, he was much older than Kirk. He had a daughter who was like 20 years old or something. He was probably, I don't know, 40 or 50 years old. So Cumberbatch and Chris Pine are they seem to be more like the same age. That doesn't mean to say that that Abrams and his guys aren't willing to tinker with the chronology a little bit and make Finney younger. Sure. Or who knows, if Finney is granted some kind of godlike powers after his death, he could become revitalized and he could be rendered young again as a result.
Yeah, right? What if they just took like the Ben Finney mold and just gave it something with more emotional skin, more weight?
Right.
That could be cool.
Yeah. So I think that's an interesting idea. It's not one that we've really heard much of.
Yeah.
Of course, we really don't know.
And if that does turn out to be the case, you heard it here first, people. Yeah,
man. I mean, Phil has been up pretty much since the trailer thinking about this nonstop. He has not slept. He has masturbated several times, from what I've heard, over the trailer, and he's gonna go full tilt boogie today with the trailer.
Oh, I'm gonna do things with it that you'd only read about in Penthouse magazine.
Wait, a quick aside, and we're gonna have to cut this short because it is your birthday. Phil's girlfriend apparently has a special surprise for him today.
That's true.
For his birthday, and it's Star Trek related. And when he doesn't know what it is, he's got to leave in a few minutes for this big surprise. What do you think, Phil? Are you willing to go out on a limb?
I don't want to jinx it, but I will make sure to tell everyone how crazy and awesome my girlfriend is for doing whatever she's doing.
Well, this is the girl who has cried recently over Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
That's true.
So, well, if it is something as cool as it potentially could be, you're going to have to fill us in on it on the next podcast.
Oh, hell yeah. And then obviously our next podcast, Scott, will be devoted to a little recap of my birthday, but mostly to the 9 minutes of Into Darkness screening next Friday.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I am super beyond excited for that.
Are we? Yeah, see, that's the thing. I don't want to have to go see The Hobbit in order to see that.
See, do what I'm doing. Buying my ticket and then checking out as soon as those 9 minutes are done.
Yeah, I might do that.
I'm literally doing that.
Are you going to be seeing it on real IMAX or on fake IMAX?
Fake IMAX, because that's the only place it's playing.
Yeah.
Because they didn't get the footage ready in time for proper IMAXing. For the actual screen it was and format it was shot on.
So there's no point in seeing it on real IMAX anyway, basically.
What do you think? I wouldn't.
Yeah. Okay. That's not. Yeah. Okay. Now, do you think just a couple of other points real quick before we cut out? What do you think about the con potential here?
I think that last shot, it could be viewed as two things. The glass shot, it could be viewed as it's them tipping their hat saying, yes, it's Khan, just be patient. Or it could be them saying, we can take moments that were awesome from Wrath of Khan and not have Khan.
Right.
Like we can have a bleed over from one timeline to the other.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think it's Khan. And at the same time, all I've ever heard was it's Khan.
Right.
So
yeah, that's the thing.
I don't know.
We probably still won't know.
Those 9 minutes will tell us.
You think? I don't know. I wonder. Yeah. Well, I guess
we have no idea who this guy is, and the movie's 6 months out from release.
See, this is the geekiest. This is where things get really deep and geeky because we're like so excitedly speculating about something that we have no clue really what's going on, and I bet I wouldn't be surprised if we still don't know after seeing the first 9 minutes.
I hope we do know, man. I really do.
And ultimately, the movie's going to be a disappointment.
Well, Scott, you're
not to rain on everyone's parade. No, I don't know. Maybe it'll be good. Who knows?
I hope it's good, man. I do. I really do.
Do you think that's the Spore planet, the this side of Paradise planet they're on with all the red?
Yeah, I was wondering what planet could that possibly be? A website has a really awesome theory that it could be Delta Vega.
Delta Vega, okay.
Which is the planet from where no man has gone before.
Gary Mitchell's planet.
That planet wasn't very red, but I guess from orbit it looked red.
Okay, so they're going out on a limb a little bit there.
But it's a very well-written article. We should post it on the podcast page.
Okay. But what's your favorite scene? Last thing on the trailer. What's your favorite moment? My favorite
moment is that shot of a backlit Enterprise pushing up ocean spray as it crashes. Cool. It's a few seconds longer in the Japanese version. Okay. But I love that I can't really see that ship, but I can see the nacelle is on fire. The left nacelle is on fire.
It is, yeah.
And that thing hits the fucking ocean and pushing up water ahead of it like that. That's just a beautiful image to me. It looks so photoreal.
You sit with the trailer and a stopwatch?
Did I what with the stopwatch?
Did you sit with a trailer? Did you sit and watch the trailer with a stopwatch?
No, I just watched the goddamn trailer.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's the Enterprise, right? It seems certain that's the Enterprise. But who's to say that Kirk is captaining it?
Yeah, and someone posted on a popular Star Trek site.
Come on, man.
That without doubt. That's got to be Kirk on the other side of the glass touching Spock's hand, right?
I don't see how
I don't know how you can 100% know that. But then they say, but that's a Constitution-class ship crashing into the ocean. Yeah, that is. It's the Enterprise. Because the number one rule of storytelling is you service your lead, and you are not going to crash some random ship from the fleet. You're just not going to do that. That's the Enterprise.
Maybe but I like to think that it's Cumberbatch is in charge of the ship at some point.
That would be awesome. And Kirk has to fight back.
My favorite bit, I think, is when Alice Eve is screaming for that nanosecond.
You mean her Scream Queen moment?
Yeah, it just feels very on Star Trek, which I like.
It was jarring for me.
Yeah, you didn't like that, right?
It's not that I didn't like it. It's just it was unexpected. Yeah. And it just kind of, it was, it'll be interesting. I hope that has a really awesome context for why it's there.
Yeah.
Well, that's our show for today, everyone. But before we leave, real quick, a Red Shirt of the Week.
We take this time to remember those who have laid their lives down for Starfleet. This is the Red Shirt of the Week.
It's that poor bastard who gets ignited in the corridor of what I'm assuming is Enterprise in Into Darkness video. That guy, he probably existed only to be set on fire. He enlisted to be burnt alive. And I guarantee you, not one bloody tear will be wept. And it's not because we don't have tear ducts. It's because Starfleet is a cold-hearted business.
I think he was a family member related to the poor woman from the first film who was on the Kelvin, who went out the hull. You remember her?
The entire legion of whatever family line that is, they're just destined to be cancer.
He joined up to right the wrong that was her fate on the Kelvin, and I like that Abrams is willing to continue the extermination of red shirts, though. It brings a certain balance to the universe that no matter how different than his version of Star Trek is, red shirts still aren't safe.
Red shirts are not safe. I repeat, they are not. And whomever that is, Ensign Roman Candle, we put our black band on for you. And that's it for this week. We'll be back next week with probably our last podcast of the year discussing the 9 minutes.
Yeah, that will be the end of season 2, I believe, of the podcast. And we'll move on to season 3 after the holidays.
Which means we'll get brand new uniforms.
Brand new uniforms with collars.
Fuck yeah, bitches.
All right, man.
We'll see you on Gravette Island.